And we're live.
And we're live.
I was like, 2? What is she talking about? Oh, the number. Oh, God, I'm not ready.
If you guys are watching, you can see, but if you're not, I'm wearing my spooky dress because this is the first episode we're recording in October.
Oh my God, it is. I love it. That's so cute. I need to get more spooky attire for the month.
I fucking love this. I bought it last year, and it's just, like, such a great house dress. Or, like, going to the store and you don't feel like putting on pants dress.
Nice.
Which is pretty
I
much
always.
Yeah. But does it have pockets?
No.
Okay.
But I have an apron that my grandma made me with sunflowers on it, and those have pockets. And I always wear my apron whenever I cook, where I need to put my phone. So,
nice. That works.
Yeah. So before we get into the bulk of the episode and everything, we're going to talk about our mystery box.
Mystery.
Spooky. So our mystery box is with the Electronic Bar Experience. We paired up with them again to do something spooky. And Angela, how could you win one of our mystery boxes?
Well, every week for our episodes, we post hints of each of our topics, and to enter, you just have to take a gander and guess at the hint, and if your comment is there, then that enters you for a chance to win, and if you get it correct, then you automatically win a mystery box, and that is the first person who gets it correct. So we can't have a bunch of people getting the correct answer and all of you getting the mystery box, sorry. But we're giving you a lot of chances. Every time we put a hint on our Instagram, which is 3 times a week at least, then you get a chance. So follow us on Insta at WFK
Yeah, and Lexi, what could possibly be in this spooky box?
Ooh, what could possibly be in this spooky box? So we're still waiting on our spooky mystery boxes, so we don't know too much yet. It's still a mystery, but you will get a Who Fucking Knows sticker and a little drinky drink from the Electronic Bar Experience. So I mean, that in itself should be a reason to try and enter to win one.
We have 25 to give away, which you only have to, you're only charged shipping and handling, which is pretty much nothing when you got a box full of goodies. Mm-hmm. So definitely, I got hair in my eye. So definitely give it a shot. And just, like Angela said, check out our Instagram at WFKENKnows. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just a dream, don't you?
Welcome to Who Fucking Knows, a podcast where 3 friends, a blonde, a brunette, and a redhead, discuss mysteries, conspiracies, and unknown phenomena that make you say, who fucking knows what happened? My name is Angela.
I'm Taylor.
I'm Lexi.
And welcome to Who Fucking Knows. Always happy to have you here.
Yes.
I'm going to start us off just because I've had a couple of drinks, because today's been kind of a day off. I worked like 3 hours and then I was sent home, so I just started drinking and doing homework. And so I am about 3 tequila OJs in, so this is going to be a fun, spooky episode.
Yes, I love tequila, Taylor.
And my story's last, so you know it's going to be
here we
go.
From there.
Nice.
That's great.
Yeah,
Either
I'm just having
drinking?
water today. Yeah, I'm having water because since last week I was sick. My stomach was really messing up, and apparently if you have IBS, you shouldn't have alcohol. So I'm still kind of like, I have like PTSD from that week of just being in a bed all week. So I'm like, I'm going to give my stomach a break and just wait and save myself for the Electronic Bar Experience.
Exactly. Good call.
Yeah.
I'm drinking lemonade also because it's 1:30 Hawaii time on a Sunday. I'm going to try to go for a hike after this. So, staying sober.
But Lexi, how is the free of quarantine life?
It's so good. Oh my God. Quarantine was really rough, but I've gone to the beach and jumped in the ocean and just like frolicked around, and it's so good. It's so good to be home. It's amazing.
You're making me so jealous.
I know. I have to go say hi to your parents, Taylor.
Good, you better.
Or else they're going to come hunt me down.
Yeah, my dad will ground you if you don't come to visit him.
I know.
Lex, did you have a shout out for this episode?
Oh, I did. So last night, I went out to dinner with my whole family. So like my Aunt Annette and Uncle Brett were there.
Love them.
And my Uncle B was like, hey, I've been listening to your podcast. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, I listen to it like every night before bed. He's like, I can't listen to too much though. I get scared because it's right before I go to bed. And he's like, can I just listen to the stabby stab episode? I'm like, yes. So Uncle B, if you're listening, hey, I hope this episode isn't too spooky for you, but thanks for listening.
Uncle B, I love you. I miss you too. Oh my goodness, that's great.
So
he's
cute.
An elementary school teacher and had both my sisters. He's just the greatest guy. So is Auntie Danette. Man, I love them. I miss your family. I miss everything.
I know.
Can I just transport through the screen home?
Yes, teleport here. Be with me.
Alrighty, Lexi, should we start off with our current event now?
Yes, I do have a little current event. So, as you all know, and as Taylor mentioned with her, spooky dress talk, it's spooky season. It's October. We're in Halloween time. So, I found this article, and I sent you guys some photos of kind of what it's about. So, this is about an Airbnb that's Halloween themed in this town. Halloween themed in a town called Hell, Michigan. So you can go to this town of Hell and you can stay in this Airbnb, and when you're there, you'll be the mayor of the town. I guess it's like a very small town that's like Halloween themed, and this guy that owns this B&B, he's turned it into like a cool little Halloween themed thing. So here's some photos of it. It's super cute and
So
really
cute.
spooky looking. And the price per night is $31. Again, as in Halloween being the 31st. I'm like, that's a fucking deal.
Oh
Wait,
my
yeah,
goodness.
like,
I
is
could
it
stay
already
there.
all books?
I know. I don't know.
I mean-
This article was on CBS, so I'm wondering if people are... But they talked about, like, their COVID-friendly guidelines and sanitizing the place. But you can go and you can be the mayor of Hell on Earth.
Like,
so-
if all three of us go, can all three of us be mayors?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know.
We gotta stab each other till the
Stab,
end.
stab.
Fight to the death.
But yeah, this guy, I liked how he's a very big fan of Halloween, and he made an entire Airbnb dedicated to Halloween, even so much that the price is $31 a night. And it's in the town of Hell, so, like, what the heck? What the hell?
That's
It's
perfect.
pretty great.
You
So
can give me a better present. than
I know,
a night in
right?
hell as the mayor.
seriously, yeah. But that is my quick little current event I have for you.
I love
Wow.
that. That was so jolly.
Jolly,
Nice.
jolly good.
Well,
Really good.
since it is episode 60, which makes it a big 0 at the end of it, I guess, every 10th episode, we have
Zero.
a guest on it. So I'm totally not wording this correctly, but because it's episode 60, we have a guest, and we have an audio that I'm going to play for you guys because I went and interviewed a woman named Diana. You might remember us interviewing her daughter, Brittany, who is one of my childhood best friends. Brittany told us a lot of good stories when she was on about like kind of ghost spookiness that she experienced as a child. So if you want to listen to that, you should. But right now, I'm going to play the audio of me interviewing Diana, and you could hear some of her stories, which were pretty creepy, and then we'll discuss them as a group after. All right, so I am here with Diana. She is my childhood friend's mom, so I've known her since I was a child. But growing up, she used to tell me and my friend Brittany some of her like ghost encounter stories and everything. So yeah, hi Diana.
Hello, Angela.
It's kind of strange, but do you have any like what story would you like to start off telling us? I suppose we could just go with that first.
All right, one story is where I grew up, San Fernando Mission, now Mission Hills. It's known for the burial grounds from the mission, and the whole valley is, just like other places, is covered with burial grounds. But right there by the park, it has always been said that there are a lot of spirits. My mother's house is across the street from the park, so we were raised there. She's lived in that house for 58 years now, and we've had different encounters. Different people who have came over have had encounters. But one specific time that I will never forget was back in October of 1983. I was in a car club, and the weekend meeting was held at my mom's house where I was living. My mom was up here in Merced. We had little kids there. We had older kids. We had teenagers. Nobody was drinking. We were just having a good time, barbecuing, listening to music. Sun went down. We took everything inside. Some people left. Some people stayed. It started to rain. So we got all the kids inside in the back room where the TV was, and us older people were in the front room, in the living room, and sitting on the porch. One of my friends was pregnant at the time. She was 8 months pregnant. And she needed to use the restroom, so I showed her where the one was in the front part of the house. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house with a front living room and a back TV room and a split section kitchen with the upstairs bar and kitchen and downstairs dining. So it's a pretty good sized house. So people were all throughout the house, and a few minutes after my friend told me she needed to use the restroom, we heard her screaming. So me and my friend Martha and my friend Susie ran up to the bathroom to find out what happened. We thought pretty much she probably went into labor early. We could not get the bathroom door open. She could not get the bathroom door open from the inside, but she was pounding on it and crying, telling us, "Get me out of here. I don't want this man to hurt me. I don't know how he got in here. Nobody told me somebody was using the shower." And we could not get the door open, so we got a couple of guys to go try to open the door, and it just all of a sudden opened by itself. She was on the floor, sitting, crying, sweating. We had to help her up. We cleaned her up. I told her that that shower had not worked for years, that there was no way anybody was in that shower. So one of the guys opened the shower curtain, and the bathtub held a bunch of toys that belonged to my nephew. So it was basically a toy box. But everything was wet. All the toys were wet. The shower curtain was wet, and part of the floor on the outside of the tub was wet. So obviously she did hear the shower. Somebody was in the shower, but we have no idea who. So that was one encounter. Later that...
Very quick, though. Did the bathroom or the shower have any kind of, like, windows where, like, someone could have possibly crawled in and been in there with her, or, like, a big enough window, or was it the second story, or...
It's ground level, and there is a very small window, not big enough for anybody to climb in and out of unless they pop the whole window out. So if they opened the window, it would be maybe enough room to put a small child through it, but not an adult. Mm-hmm. So we got her out of there. Her boyfriend took her to the hospital, and about 15 minutes later, we have a friend named Christy and her boyfriend, and they were getting ready to leave. And he's a good friend of mine. His name was Andrew. And he has a nice old Impala, and he was driving down the street to take her home because she had too much to drink. So about 10 minutes after he left, another friend shows up yelling and screaming, saying, "Come on, guys, let's get together, go down the street to help Andrew. Something happened to his car." So the guys go. We were waiting. We didn't have cell phones back then, so we just had to wait for people to come back and tell us what happened. Apparently, he got down the street, Laurel Canyon and Brand. That's part of the cruise spot. Main intersection. His girlfriend decided to flip out and jump out of the car and tell some guys in the car behind them that he kidnapped her and he was trying to rape her. She was very drunk. The guys tried to beat up my friend. They tried to pull him out of his car, but his car doors locked on their own, and he pulled over to a place called Winchell's, which was right on the corner. It's a donut shop. So when our other friends got there, they couldn't get him out of the car. Well, they finally got him out of the car after about 10 minutes or so, and they took him back to my house, and they left his car there because he was upset, he was nervous, he was mad, he didn't want to drive his car. He didn't want anybody driving his car. So they took him back to my house, and we calmed him down, and he said that she said somebody was in the backseat of the car when they left our house. And that's what she was flipping out about, that there was a man in the backseat of his car and that he had tried to choke her. So she was trying to get out of the car, and she finally got out of the car. But when she told the guys in the car behind them that the guy was trying to assault her, they thought it was the driver of the car. but she said there was a man in the backseat of his car. So we're assuming it was the spirit that left my mother's house and for some reason stayed with Christy, for whatever reason. So she also was taken to the hospital to get checked out. She never returned to my house after that. She refused to go into my house. She would stay at the park across the street when we'd have our car club meetings or any kind of get-together. She would not go into my mom's house. But
do you have any idea what spirit it might have been? Like, were there instances that you had specific spirits that would like come back? Like, was that just that one encounter with that one, or did it ever come back again?
Oh, there's been other incidents too. And after a couple more incidents, I finally told my mom what had happened, because every time it would happen, she'd be up here on Merced. And a couple of my friends had told her they described a tall, lanky man wearing a trench coat and a dark hat. And it was always a black and white image or a gray and black image. And my mom said, I wish you guys would have told me this a while back, because I think I know who you're seeing. I think I know what's going on. And she took us to her room, and there was a picture of her great-grandfather and her great-grandmother, and he's wearing a gray trench coat and a black hat and a gray shirt. The picture's black and white. So she assumed that it was him watching over me while I was home alone, and he was basically trying to get the people out of her house that he didn't feel comfortable having there. And that's what my mom says, that he watches over me. I have a nephew who at the time was about 7 or 8 years old, and the following year when he turned 9, he started seeing the shadow. He would see it walk across the living room into the hallway, which led down to 2 bedrooms and the bathroom that my friend had got locked in. And he refused to shower or bathe in that bathroom. And my niece and my mom and everybody would tell him, go get in the bath, go take a shower. And he refused to, but he wouldn't tell us why. Until one night, my older sister was walking him up the hallway to kind of dragging him to the shower. And he was flipping out when he got to the living room, and he said, I can't do it. He's going to drown me. He's going to hurt me. He keeps dragging that lady into the bathroom. So what he told us was that he saw a man with long hair, and he was a tall, big guy, and he was pulling a lady by the hair across the living room into the hallway. And we don't know how long he had been seeing that image, because it had been weeks that he kept telling us he was not going to ever shower in that bathroom again. How we knew he was dragging the woman to the bathroom, we have no idea. But he was just dead set against going into that bathroom again. That happened for months, and then he started having nightmares.
Wait, what year was this around?
That was in 1985. And then in 1987, we had a couple of incidents with friends that were over for a Mother's Day get-together, barbecuing, kids there, people of all races and ages. My mom always welcomed everybody. Everybody was having a good time. The sun started setting. We cleaned up the yard, got the kids that needed to be changed, took them all to the back room like we used to do, put a movie on, and then the parents and older people would sit in the living room or the front yard and just kick back and drink and talk. So we had the children in the back room, ages 2 to 9. The rest of us were in the front of the house and in the front yard. One of the kids came running down the hall yelling, saying, the curtains are on fire. And we didn't know what was going on, so me and a few of my friends went to the back room, and we couldn't figure out what they were talking about. Most of the kids were asleep, and a few that were awake were just watching TV, nodding off. So we took the oldest one outside and told him, just calm down, sit out here with us for a little while. So he did, and we got him to calm down, and then a couple minutes later, we heard one of the little girls screaming, get away from me, leave me alone. I'm going to tell my dad. Well, her dad was out front. So we told him to go check on her, and he did. And he said, I think she was sleepwalking because she was walking down the hall crying and screaming that there was a man chasing her. And she described the same figure, a man with a long dark coat and a dark hat on. Nobody has ever been harmed in that house in our family since my mother has lived there. When her and my father originally bought the house, it was a 2-bedroom house. It was a small house with a big yard. Now it is a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house, split level. And in the back room that they added on to the house, the TV room, is usually where people will go when they come over to visit. My mom likes to sit back there and relax and visit with people. And if anybody takes a baby back there, I could think of every baby that we've had in that house that somebody has taken to that back room and sat down with will end up looking up towards the ceiling on the back wall where she has a huge sliding glass door that you could see the backyard from. And they just look across the top of the door constantly. And my grandma said that it's because there's angels back there. And they're trying to keep out the bad spirits that keep coming into the house. And that the only people that could see angels are babies that cannot talk yet, that cannot walk yet, that don't know the true world as it is.
Oh, wow. Do you have any experiences that have happened in more recent years, like maybe since you've moved up here in Merced? What about in this house?
This one right here, nothing yet.
Right, so please do that.
I've been here a year and a half in this place right here on Meadows Avenue now. I haven't felt or seen or heard spirits for a few months. I believe the spirit that I do see or hear here once in a great while is my brother who was killed back in October of 2017. Other than that, I moved up here 26 years ago. And the house that I moved to, I used to have a huge painting of the Last Supper, and it was made and bought and brought over to LA from Mexico. My father purchased it for my mom's house, and they kept it in the dining room forever. When I moved, my mom told me that I could take it. So I brought it with me. I hung it up in the dining room, and somehow or another it would always fall off the wall. Dinner time, we would be fine. After dinner, we would hear a thump, and it would be the picture on the wall, on the floor. It had fallen off somehow. The nail would still be there. None of the wall was messed up, just somehow it fell. One day I had a birthday party for my oldest son. He was turning 10. We lived on a house on 22nd Street, down the street from John Fremont. We had a big backyard and a playroom off of the back of the house that led out to the backyard. He had friends over, and we had picnic tables set up, and the boys were out there playing ball and drinking their Kool-Aid and juice and everything, and we were getting the food ready to serve them. One little boy was sitting at the end of a picnic table talking, and I asked my son, Mondo, I said, who is that little boy talking to? And he said, nobody. I said, he's talking to somebody. And just then the little boy walked up to me and he said, that man out there? He's a pretty cool guy. And I told him, what man? And he said, the fisherman. And my son Armando looked at me and he said, oh my gosh, he sees the spirit that followed us over here. So I asked the little boy, what does he look like? And he said, he's tall and he's wearing a long dark jacket and it looks like a fisherman's hat. So he called him the fisherman. And he said he carried on a conversation with him. That was the first person outside of my family that ever told me that they saw that spirit. Didn't scare him. He never said what they talked about. He just said he was a really cool guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. I guess in closing, because we're about 15 minutes, and that's about the time that we need to talk. In closing, why do you think that you have had these experiences? Like, do you think it's because you believe in this kind of stuff that it, attracts things? Or is your family, have a history of this kind of stuff happening to them?
Over the years, as I've gotten older and spoke to my mom about everything, I was told that one of my grandmothers died before I was born. And I believe that she was looking forward to seeing me when I was born, that she wanted to know me. And I truly believe that she got in contact with somebody in the family and asked them to watch over me. And I do believe in spirits. I do believe in people coming into our lives in different ways. I don't get afraid of them. When I was younger, I used to have nightmares and see things, and I would be very afraid. But as I got older and realized that other people saw things also, it didn't bother me so much. And now when I do see something, hear something, or feel something, I just assume it's one of my relatives who's letting me know that they're thinking about me.
Thank you so much, Diana, for coming on to this episode. I'm going to have my fellow podcast hosts listen in, and then we're all going to talk about it, and you can listen to the episode next week. So any final words?
Oh, thank you very much. And if you guys see, feel, hear anything, go to it. Go with it. Talk to it. Don't be afraid.
So, what did you guys think?
I wrote some notes because I listened to it a little while ago and I don't trust my memory.
I wrote some notes too.
Go for it, Lex.
Oh, I was just going to say my first note is WTF, who was the man in the bathroom? Frick that, especially if I'm pregnant.
My first note was, as soon as she said burial grounds, I knew we were getting spooky.
Oh, heck yeah. I know that too. I was like, oh.
On the bathroom note, being locked in, like, it's really freaking creepy that the shower portion of the thing was wet after, like, it's, like, hasn't been working. Let me just violently rip out my headphone. It wasn't working, and then she sees this man in the shower, and then the toys and everything is wet, like, ugh.
Oh my god.
I know. I thought it was creepy that they literally couldn't open the door, and just to hear your friend screaming about a man in there with her, and it's like a pregnant woman, like that must have been terrifying.
And she's like, I don't want him to hurt me. I'm like, no, God. Frick that.
And then not only does that kind of, like, entity, like, follow in the fucking car and, like, locks the guy in the car. That was more of, like, a protection thing, I feel like, because those guys wanted to beat the shit out of him. But then also there was someone in the back seat trying to choke his girlfriend. So it's, like, mixed signals here.
Yeah.
Seriously. It's like
I was, like, kind of confused about it because when she was telling me the story, and she's like, yeah, I think it was my great-grandfather or something. And I was like, but he sounded like he was doing some mean stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like,
I have
don't
a
think he
note.
wanted them.
I have a note that says, LOL, how her great-grandpa was, like, around shooing out anyone he didn't like having around. My inspiration. And then later on, I'm like, take it back. Is he just crazy or really mean or secretly a demon?
Yeah, like, what the heck?
I know.
Terrorizing the children in the living room, the back room.
When her nephew saw the woman being dragged into the bathroom.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, what? Like, if my kid was telling me that, then I think I would move.
I know.
Mm-hmm. They stayed in that house for, like, ever.
Oh my god.
Her grandma still has, Brittany's grandma, or Diana's mom, still has that house in Los Angeles.
Really?
Can we have a
sleepover
in that house?
Sleepover.
Like,
possibly. I could be like, yo, Brittany, let's go visit your grandma.
Just
my God.
never mind us. We're gonna bring some speakers and maybe like a reader to see if we can get any voices. Maybe a seance or two. I don't know.
Super casual.
It could be done on a Tuesday. It'd be like just a Terror Tuesday.
I also love what she was saying about the babies being sensitive to the spirits, and how someone's like, oh, it's angels back there, and they can see them because something about the babies don't know the true world as it is. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
I believe that now.
So cool.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
She was telling me after, like, afterwards I was talking to her some more about, like, other stories and stuff. And I guess recently in one of her more recent houses, her son, like, she had her uncle's chair, right? And one day her son sent her a picture that he saw like a shadow man sitting in the uncle's chair, and he was like not really freaked out because he's like, oh, it's my uncle. So he literally took a picture and sent it to her. I asked Brittany to send me these pictures later on, but like he had like, it looked like a man sitting in the chair, and he said that he just sat there and kind of watched it for a while, and then it like eventually faded away. And then he said that he like later got up and he saw it again, and he swears that he like saw it get up, and then he took another picture and it looks like it's going down the stairs like to something, and he's like, dude, like he was walking around the house. So I'm like, they've experienced so much crazy shit, and that's why I asked her like, do you think, like, what do you think this means and stuff? And she was saying, what did she say about her grandmother passing away and like
really wanting to meet her
before she was born?
Yeah.
Powerful shit right there.
And I loved how she was like, if you feel anything or sense anything, don't be afraid, just go towards it. I'm like, oh, Diana. But also I'm like, I want to be you. I want to be fearless.
But at the same time, with your mother screaming, "Don't open portals!"
Yeah, I know.
Growing up, I think we're good.
I'm curious though.
I would so love for something that benign to happen, where just seeing the shadow figure moving across, or maybe being like, I wouldn't mind being locked in a bathroom if I didn't think a murderous person was behind taking a shower or something like that. But like,
you say that now,
like, oh, I want to get out, I can't get out. Oh, it's a ghost. Sure. Well, Diana, thank you so much for sharing your story. It was freaking awesome. I'm sure you have way more, and I can't wait to hear them because I'm going to be a part of your family pretty soon, too. Just ask Angela's mom.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Yes. So good.
Is it my turn? Am I going next?
I think you're going.
No,
so.
You're last, Taylor. Gosh,
okay, then.
that tequila.
Who made the rules? I think, am I next?
Your story.
Okay. So, I'm just going to get right into it, and I'm going to paint a picture for you. Imagine you and your James, since both of you have Jameses in your life. You're out scuba diving in Australia, and, you go down and you're scuba diving, you're having a great time, you see all these fish and shit. You come back up. Your boat that you came scuba diving out with on a tour is gone. You're out there.
Oh, no, thank you.
All alone in the open water. So, have either of you seen the movie Open Water?
No.
So, it's a movie basically about what I just said. These two people go scuba diving on a tour, and they go down, and they come back up, and their tour and the boat and everyone's gone. And it was based on a true story. So, I'm going to tell you guys about the true story of Tom and Eileen Longeran. So, here we go.
Real quick, was this really in Australia?
It was. It was on the
My story's in Australia, too.
Really? Weird. Australia.
I'll leave the accents to you, though.
Great, thank you. But, yeah, so Tom and Eileen Longeran were experienced divers on a trip to Australia's Great Barrier Reef when their dive boat crew left them behind. And 2 days passed before anyone even realized they were missing. So, like, their tour group and their boat had no idea that they hadn't even come back. So, I know. Rescue teams searched for the married couple unsuccessfully for days, and the two were never seen again, and their bodies were assumed to be lost at sea. So, again, this experience was turned into the film Open Water. It was made in 2003. But again, it's a true story. So, in order to communicate... Oh, what were you
sorry. So, they were just left? Like, they didn't realize that they forgot that they just left them in the fucking water?
Yes, they didn't realize. They were just left.
Like, they were under, so they were just...
Yeah, so everyone else had gone back on the boat, and then like, okay, everybody's here, and then they left, but they were still down diving.
That is such an easy thing to happen.
I know.
That I am...
Like, let's do a head count. Is everyone here?
You're like, how often does this happen?
I know.
Should I? I feel like that just tells you that if you ever go on a diving tour, befriend the person who's like, you know,
tour guide.
Be the talkative person. Be the one that like they'll notice is missing. They're like, where the fuck's that woman who talks a lot?
I know.
Where's the one talking about aliens in her podcast?
Yes, I know. We wouldn't be left behind. We'd be okay. Okay, so in order to communicate effectively underwater, many divers carry these things called dive slates, which are small boards where that you can like write messages or record information. So 6 months after Tom and Eileen's disappearance, a slate was discovered, and it was like very well weathered by a fisherman miles from their dive site, and it was dated January 26, 1998 at 8 a.m. and the slate read, "Please help us or we will die." But
shit. So they were trying to communicate to someone, or it was hooked onto their bodies and like was pulled off.
Exactly. So this distress note appears to clearly indicate that the couple were not left behind by choice and were alive at least until the next day to write the distress message. So another theory that some people believe to have happened was that the couple might have had like a suicide pact and did it on purpose, because their diary entries were found after their disappearance, and they contained some like eerie insight. So according to entries, both Tom and Eileen were unhappy with their lives and each other. They were both working as teachers, and Tom's diary said something like, so here's a quote. It says, "Like a student who has finished an exam, I feel that my life is complete and I am ready to die." Whoa, so kind of disturbing. So one theory is it was maybe a murder-suicide and Tom killed her and then killed himself. In the movie Open Water, it's suggested that the Lonergans met their fate due to sharks. That is one of the theories. So half of the world's sharks live in Australia, apparently, but allegedly most are harmless to humans. And there was really no evidence of an actual shark attack because their wetsuits eventually washed ashore and there wasn't any like blood or teeth marks on it.
Were there any people in it, or people?
It was just their wetsuits. Yeah, there were no like body parts. One person thinks that they may have been eaten whole by tiger sharks, and that's why there was nothing left. But, yeah.
But like, if they were eaten whole by their tiger sharks, did they decide to get naked first? Because
I don't know, or maybe the tiger shark was like wetsuit, but
without any bite notes.
I know, it's marks. Weird. I mean, I guess they were like kind of ripped, but there was no blood on them.
But it's in the ocean, so maybe the water would like wash them out.
Yeah, I know. So,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a mystery. Several weeks after they went missing, pieces of their diving gear washed ashore. So that included an inflatable diving jacket and air tanks, which were found on a beach like 75 miles north of where they launched out, which was Port Douglas, which I've been there, and I've went on a Great Barrier Reef tour, and I didn't do scuba diving, but we snorkeled. I'm like, could I have been left behind? And there was maybe like 100 people on the tour, so it's like,
oh shit,
I could see how you could easily leave someone behind, yeah. But so their air tanks had very little air left inside, meaning they were probably dropped when the Lonergans realized the ship wasn't coming back for them, so they probably just like fuck it, like it's not coming back, we're gonna die. And even 8 years after this incident, evidence still washes ashore. So a fin with the name Lonergan written on the inside washed ashore 8 years after they went missing. It's just like so spooky.
Which like, yeah, the currents move in different ways and stuff of that nature, so it makes sense that things are coming like staggered.
Yeah.
But from 6 months to however long the wetsuits were found to like 8 years later, like that's kind of nuts.
I know. Oh, I forgot to. Here's a photo of, Port Douglas. Very beautiful. And these are them. That's how they look. Da, da, da.
What if they were just like, fuck being teachers? Let's like do this.
Let's become
fake our own
mermaids.
death, and then like somehow they found a way.
Maybe they did fake their own death, and I'm sure that's a conspiracy theory as well.
But then again, it's like Australia is like a giant island, so where would they go?
I know.
Yeah, but you could easily like, change your identity, maybe?
It was 98, so I feel like it'd be easier then than now to change your identity.
Or they lost their memory and washed up on shore, and it was never like 2 and 2 never were connected.
That's a good theory.
Until someone listens to this podcast and is like, fuck, that's like my aunt.
That's my aunt. Or someone's like, this happened to me.
Yeah.
The owner of the dive company was actually charged with manslaughter, which, I mean, kind of makes sense. He left them out there.
That kind of sucks, though.
I know, but he was acquitted. So in 1999, Jack Narn was charged with manslaughter of the couple and went to criminal court. But the defense actually used the diary entries to question the intentions of the couple and then claimed they faked their deaths. So as you guys are kind of alluding to.
Okay.
The trial was also centered on Jack, the company owner, not the entire company, and many members of the jury felt it wasn't his fault alone. Like it was a team effort of who left them behind, essentially.
Yeah.
But the tragic story of them going missing did inspire Queensland to enact stricter rules on how dive companies should operate and how head counts are taken. So I guess, that's one good thing that came out of it. And again, like I mentioned, some people do believe that they actually faked their own deaths. So although there was no concrete evidence pointing towards this, some wondered if they actually maybe faked their own deaths. So after the Australian news broke the story, more than 20 people came forward claiming to have seen them after they disappeared. They were allegedly seen all over around Australia. So who fucking knows if they actually died or if they faked their own deaths. But, I mean, no solid evidence pointed towards that. It
definitely leaves you so, like, the ocean is big and vast, and we all know that. But when, like, a body that could have possibly have just, like, gotten lost in it, never seen again, only pieces of different things from here to there, and then also, like, just ships that were lost at sea and all these different things, it's just so wild to think that aren't exploring that more.
Yeah.
I know.
There's a vortex.
Yes.
It's taking all the...
It's
black
taking
hole.
them to the tunnels. The underwater tunnels. So as I mentioned, when they went missing, no one realized they were gone until 2 days later. So the very next day, the same tour company came out to the same spot, and no one discovered anything weird. So they literally came back the very next day, and they were already gone.
Well, could they have, like, added on to this tour and pretended to be someone else? Just saying.
Fuck, maybe. They're like, oh, hey, here we are. I don't know.
And then start anew? Like,
Let's start a new life. Maybe they are out there.
Possibly. Because if they were able to, like, write that sign, maybe that was who they were writing that sign to, though.
Maybe.
Ooh, that's dark.
Yeah, like, what if they wrote that and they were, like, trying to, like, hey, like, hold it up to the tour.
We're gonna die. But I guess the couple, they insisted on going off on their own for their last dive. And allegedly, they were missed in the head count due to confusion, and it was an inexperienced crew that was running the tour. So there was some confusion and some new people, and they were off on their own, not with the other group. So that's kind of why they're saying they were left behind. But ultimately, it's thought that, like, currents, dehydration, and panic most likely was their ultimate cause of death. Maybe it was sharks. Maybe they're actually not dead. Who fucking knows? But either way, it's a freaking terrifying story, and definitely one of my bigger fears of being just trapped in the ocean and, like, ultimately being doomed. It's like, well, I guess this is how it ends.
I accept my fate.
Yeah. Yep. But
Yeah,
that is
good
what I
story,
got for you.
good
Oh, here's a
story.
little pic from the movie. In the movie, it's shown that they are eaten by sharks. But who fucking knows what actually happened? I know. Come on. Give us a sea monster.
Would you start trying to swim to like...
I think I would. I'd be like, I hope land is this way. But it's like, it's out. It's like, which way is land?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Better to try something than nothing, or know
Yeah.
that the tour always goes there, and then just be like, okay, we're gonna float
Maybe
right
the boat
here.
will come back.
They'll be back tomorrow if anything. But currents, fuck, I don't even want to know
Yeah.
what that's like.
I know.
Yeah. It's like, I'm cool off that.
May I have
Yeah.
a normal and peaceful death.
Yeah.
Thank
Please.
you. Thank you.
Put that out in the world.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Well, let's talk about a murder.
Yay!
Speaking of death.
A normal and peaceful death.
You know, it's not so normal and peaceful, but it's actually pretty fucking gruesome. So let's just crack right into it.
Give it to us.
All right.
So I'm going to pretty much read word for word off of murderpedia.com. Words are getting hard. I'm sorry. Might be a difficult one to listen to.
Tequila
because,
Taylor.
like I said, I did my notes last minute and kind of didn't really read through the entirety of it, so we might be surprised together.
Alrighty.
So, Katherine Knight was born October 24th, 1955 in New South Wales, Australia, which is the only tie that Lexi and I stories have this week. So, she didn't have the greatest of childhood. Here's a couple photos of her. Her father, Ken, was an alcoholic who openly used violence and intimidation to rape her mother multiple times a day. And her mother is very verbal about it all happening. So not only were they like seeing it happen, but then also she was being told about it from her mother. It's a toxic situation.
Good.
And to top that off, she was also sexually abused by several members of her family. Not her father, though, which happened from a very early age until she was about 11 or 12 years old, which is just not fun. Told you it was gruesome. Sorry to bring us down. Anyway, she was overall regarded as a pleasant girl who experienced uncontrollable murderous rages in response to minor upsets, which, like, some days I'm that way. You know, sometimes you just want to have a tantrum because your nail broke, but she decided to punch people instead.
To each their own.
She was a bully in high school and a loner. She assaulted at least one boy at school with a weapon and also attacked a teacher, which led into this whole big ordeal. And she decided to leave school at 15 without having ever learned to read or write. She started working in a clothing factory, and that worked out for about a year or so, and then she received an offer for her dream job, which was essentially cutting up the entrails and internal organs of different animals in a slaughterhouse. So...
Her dream job?
Yeah, not quite my
aim
dream
high.
job.
Yeah. That's...
Heavy.
Gosh. Yeah.
So she had a current knack to this job and was quickly promoted to a boning, which is like taking out all the bones of the animal and the skin and stuff. And with that promotion, she was given her own set of
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I saw Angela smirking. I'm like,
I
we
didn't
are
think that.
middle school boys.
Hey, girls can have dirty thoughts too.
Yeah.
Clearly. Well, yeah, while there's boning and then other boning, she was deboning animal bones from their meat and flesh and all that good stuff. She was quickly promoted, which I just was talking about, but with that promotion, she got her own set of butcher knives, which she, quote, hung over her head at night because she would always be it would always be handy if she needed them. They would always be handy if she needed them, right above her bed, just like nonchalantly, no fear of maybe a earthquake shaking and then them stabbing her in the night. I don't know.
How nice.
But yeah, that's some guitar decor that I'm not used to. And so that's kind of like what her early life is all about. And it wasn't until 1973 that she met a man that she wanted to marry. So she's about like 23, 30 something. I don't know. Math is hard. Katherine met David Stanford Kellett in 1973. He was her alcoholic co-worker, and she completely dominated him. Like, she wore not only the jeans, but also beat him out of the jeans continuously in this relationship.
Oh.
She was very well known in her city of offering armed combat to anyone who upset her. So she was just known for being mean as well. And here's a picture of the two of them together. Even in this photo, like, she's smiling and stuff, and her hand is like right behind him, and he just like doesn't look happy. He's not smiling. He almost has like this like, I'm not happy, please help me kind of look in his eyes. But that could be biased because I just know what happens.
Uh-oh.
They were married in 1974. At her request, the couple arrived at the service on her motorcycle, and Kellett was very drunk. As soon as they arrived, Katherine's own mother, like, Catherine Knight's mother talked to Kellett and was just like, the old girl said to me to watch out. You better watch this one or she'll fucking kill you. Stir her up the wrong way or do the wrong thing and you're fucked. Don't ever think of playing up on her. She'll fucking kill you. And that was her mother talking. Like, her own mother was talking to her soon-to-be son-in-law, like, you better be careful. She will fucking kill you whenever she feels like it.
Jesus.
Damn.
Oh, God.
And so then on their wedding night, Catherine tried to strangle Kellett, and her excuse was because he fell asleep after only having intercourse 3 times. The marriage was particularly violent, and on one occasion, a heavily pregnant Knight burned all of Kellett's clothing and shoes before hitting him across the back of the head with a frying pan, simply because he had arrived home late from a darts competition after making the finals. How dare you do good and be gone home
like,
late?
I won, honey. Look. Boom. Sad.
Damn. What a bitch. Like, this is crazy.
So, naturally, after getting hit in the head with a frying pan and everything, he ran over to the neighbor's house, collapsed, and was later treated for a badly fractured skull.
Jesus.
Police wanted to charge her, but Knight was now on her best behavior and talked Kellett into dropping the charges, so she wasn't charged for that.
My God.
2 years later, May of 1976, shortly after the birth of her first child, Melissa Ann, Kellett left for another woman and moved to Queensland. So he was just like, fuck you. Like, I know we just had a kid together, but you abused the shit out of me. I'm out of here. I don't know why he didn't take the kid. But, so the next day, Knight was seen pushing her new baby in a, baby carriage down the main street, violently throwing the thing from side to side. And was admitted to St. Elmo's Hospital in Tamsworth, where she was diagnosed with postnatal depression and spent several weeks recovering. After being released, Knight placed 2-month-old Melissa on a railway line shortly before the train was due, then stole an axe, went into town, and threatened to kill several people. A man, known in the district as Old Ted, was foraging near the railway line, found and rescued Melissa, by all accounts, only minutes before the train passed.
Oh my God, this freaking lady, what the hell?
Yeah.
She shouldn't, what year was this?
This was 1976.
Oh, damn, you can get away with a lot more back then.
Yeah.
Well, Knight was arrested and again taken to St. Elmo's Hospital, but apparently recovered, signed herself out the following day. So, yeah, you can kind of get away with everything.
Gosh.
Excuse me, burping, as always. A few days later, Knight slashed the face of a woman with one of her knives and demanded she drive her to Queensland to find Kellett, her ex-husband now.
Oh, shit.
The woman escaped after they stopped at a service station, but by the time police arrived, Knight had taken a little boy hostage and was threatening him with the knife. She was disarmed when police attacked her with brooms, and she was admitted to the psychiatric hospital.
Wait, with brooms?
Attacked with brooms?
That's what this says.
Australia doesn't have guns, I guess.
I've got a broom, watch out!
Oh,
Knight told the nurses she had intended to kill the mechanic at the service station because he had repaired Kellett's car, which had allowed him to leave and then kill both her husband and his mother when she arrived in Queensland. So she had, a plan. She's like, I'm going to kill you because you're the reason why my husband left, because you fixed his car, and then I'm going to kill him, and then I'm going to kill his mother.
Holy shit.
Damn.
Oh, and also the girlfriend that he ran off with. So she's just...
Naturally.
She's got a plan.
What happened to the baby at this point? After they rescued her?
Let's figure that out. Let's figure that out. I don't know. I don't know yet. Knight was released on August 9th of 1976 into the care of her mother-in-law, along with Kellett. They now moved to Woodridge, a suburb of Brisbane, where she obtained a job at the Dinmore Metworks in nearby Ipswich. That was a lot of fun words. So essentially, after the stint of, I'm going to kill my ex-husband for running off on me, she came out, a year later, and was like, I'm reformed. And mother-in-law was like, you weren't going to kill me. And ex-husband's like, yeah, let's just, forget all the abuse. I'm going to take you in. We have a family together. Let's get this done.
Uh-oh.
On March 6th, 1980, they had another daughter, Natasha. And so apparently Melissa was fine, and she was given back to the care of the mom, as we now found out together. So she injured her back. So like a year later, Katherine, she injured her back and went on a disability pension. She no longer needed to rent a condo. And we're going to skip that note because that's not important. Okay, so we're going to move to David Saunders. So she's married to Kellett, but when Knight, she decided that in 1986 that, you know, things are a little bit different now. I'm going to go for a different man. So she met 38-year-old David Saunders. A few months later, he moved into her and her 2 daughters' home. And then Knight became very jealous regarding what he did when she was not around and would often throw him out. Mixed signals, just maybe. He would move back to his apartment in Scone, and then she would invariably follow and beg him to return. So it was that toxic cycle that some of us are very familiar with. In May of 1987, she cut the throat of his 2-month-old dingo pup in front of him for no more reason than an example of what would happen if he ever had an affair before going on to knock him unconscious with a frying pan.
What is up with her and frying pans? And also, what the fuck?
I'm all for that being a weapon, but not to, like, beat someone, but more as a, like, protection side of things.
Yeah.
Damn.
God.
In June of 1988, she gave birth to her third daughter, first daughter with David Saunders, and which made Saunders want to, like, buy a house, because he's like, okay, like, we made a child, let's try to be adults, let's get a house, let's make this work. Knight decided to decorate the house with animal skins, skulls, horns, rusty animal traps, leather jackets, old boots, machetes, rakes, and pitchforks. Everything was covered except the ceiling.
How creative.
After an argument where she hit Saunders in the face with an iron before stabbing him in the stomach with a pair of scissors, he moved back to Scone, but when he later returned home, found she had cut up all of his clothes. Saunders took long service leave and went into hiding. Knight tried to find him, but no one admitted to knowing where he was. Several months later, he returned to see his daughter and found that Knight had gone to the police and told them that she was afraid of him. They issued her with an apprehended violence order against him, so then he wasn't able to see his kid. So he, like, hid from her, tried to, like, protect himself after being stabbed and hit with a fucking frying pan. And then she's all like, I'm the victim, he's dangerous. And then he was all like, I want to see my daughter. And they're like, bam, no, you're the bad one here. Like, That's how the system's fucked up. And then in 1990, Knight became pregnant by a 43-year-old former slaughterhouse co-worker, John Chillingworth. They gave birth to the kid. Their relationship lasted about 3 years. Nothing too exciting happened. So we're just going to jump to our final friend, John Price, who unfortunately paid the ultimate price. I hate myself for saying that. But I had to take the
Oh my God.
had to take the opportunity. Here's a picture of our dear friend Price, spinning wheel of death. Oh, there we go. And to the right, there's a picture of him and her together. So John Pricey Price was the father of 3 children when Knight had an affair with him, which was when she was with the last guy I mentioned, the 43-year-old who no one really cares about. He was a terrible bloke, quote unquote, but liked by everyone who knew him. Oh, terrific. I can't read. It's okay. I was like, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Say that in an
was a
Australian
terrific bloke.
accent.
He was a terrific bloke. I don't do accents. Fuck you, I'm drunk.
I like your little mannerisms that you added.
Good day, governor.
What?
I don't know. I did all of this out. Just
Can
forget
we
about
call
my
this
story
episode
this
Good Day, Governor?
week. Maybe. So he had 3 kids, but only 2 of them lived with him. One of them lived with his former wife. And Price was well aware of Knight's violent reputation, and she moved into his house in 1995. So he was like, fuck it. Like, you beat people. We're good. His children liked her. He was making a lot of money working in the local mines, and apart from violent arguments at first, quote, life was a bunch of roses. Sorry, Price. In 1998, they had a fight over Price's refusal to marry her, and in retaliation, Knight videotaped items he had stolen from work and sent the tapes to his boss. Although the items were out of date, medical kits that he had scavenged from the company rubbish bin, Price was fired from the job he had held for 17 years. That same day, he kicked her out, and she returned to her own home while news of what she had done spread throughout the town. A few months later, Price restarted the What?
She was so fucking crazy. That's ridiculous. Like, ruining people's lives. Yeah.
Like, there's crazy bitch, there's psycho bitch, and then there's this woman who's just, like, off the charts.
Crazy psycho bitch.
Times 10. And so he kicked her out, and he's like, fuck you, you got me fired. And then a few months later, because the toxic cycle, cycles itself through, Price restarted the relationship, although he now refused to allow her to move in with him. The fighting became even more frequent, and most of his friends would no longer have anything to do with him while they remained together. That sounds familiar. So Price's murder. Let's get into that, since we all knew that was coming anyway. In February 2000, a series of assaults on Price accumulated with Knight stabbing him in the chest. Finally fed up, he kicked her out of his house. On February 29th, he stopped at the Scone Magistrates Court on his way to work and took out a restraining order to keep her away from both him and his children. That afternoon, Price told his coworkers that if he did not come to work the next day, it would be because Knight had killed him. They pleaded with him not to go home, but he told them that he believed she would kill his children if he did not. Price arrived home to find that Knight, although not there herself, had sent the children away for a sleepover at a friend's house. So, like, how fucked up is this that you're like, I might be going home right now to get murdered, but I have to go home right now because my kids are fucking there.
God, that's awful.
We don't deserve you, Price. So he got home, no one was home, and he's like, okay, like, my kids are safe. I'm going to spend the night at my neighbor's house because I don't fucking trust being home, which sucks. So earlier that day, Knight had bought black lingerie and had videotaped all of her children while making comments which has since been interpreted as a crude will. Knight later arrived at Price's house while he was sleeping and sat watching TV for a few minutes before having a shower. She then woke Price up and they had sex, after which he fell asleep, which was like the next day. So the kids were still gone. It was like a long weekend that the kids were gone. And so night one, he was like, I'm going to stay at my neighbor's house. And then night two, he's like, well, no one came by my house, so I'm sure I'm fine to stay the night there. And she broke in, watched him sleep, woke him up and was like, let's fuck. And at 6 a.m. the next morning, the neighbor became concerned that Price's car was still in the driveway, and when Price did not arrive at work, his employer sent a worker to see what was wrong. Both the neighbor and worker tried knocking on Price's bedroom window to wake him up, but after noticing blood on the front door, alerted police who arrived at 8 a.m. Breaking down the back door, police found his body with Knight comatose from taking a large number of pills. She had stabbed Price with a butcher's knife while he was sleeping. According to the blood evidence, he awoke and tried to turn the light on before attempting to escape while Knight chased him through the house. He managed to open the front door and get outside, but either stumbled back inside or was dragged back into the hallway, where he finally died after bleeding out. Later, Knight went into Aberdeen and withdrew $1,000 from Price's ATM account. Price's autopsy revealed that he had been stabbed at least 37 times in both the front and back of his body, with many wounds extending into vital organs.
Oh, God. Poor Price.
Yeah, so bloody, violent. And then she tried to kill herself afterwards. Good news, she was not successful in this, so we get to see what happens next. Well, you know how she, like, worked at a slaughterhouse? Mm-hmm. I'm going to get into some pretty gruesome details here, so if you get, like, the willies from hearing bodies being chopped up, just, like, fast forward a few moments and then you won't have to hear it. So once John, or Price as I've been calling him, was dead, Knight then methodically proceeded to skin the corpse, taking off the entire skin, including the face, ears, scalp, and neck, like a macabre suit. Knight only left a small inch square of skin on the body. The square had the scar from where she had stabbed him previously. The suit of skin was then hung up in the entranceway of the house.
Whoa.
Once the skin had been removed, Knight then continued to defile the body of her lover by chopping off the skinned head and cooking it in a big pot on the cooktop. Knight then peeled and chopped up vegetables along with slices she removed from Price's buttocks, served them up as steak and vegetables to his son and daughter.
Oh my god.
Shit.
Did they
She
eat
then-
it?
Go for it. Say
Did
what
they
you need.
eat- Did they eat it?
Yeah, I'm like, she fed them.
No! No! Are you serious?
Yeah, they
Sure.
ate their dead dad without knowing that he was dead.
That's fucked up.
That's like,
And
what a fucking psycho. Like, that is like, you hear about this shit? Like, you hear about people, like, joking around about that kind of shit, but, like, what?
oh, sorry. Let's retract exactly what I said. She had prepared it and put like placemats out, but the kids never were home to eat it. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
They never
Oh,
ate their dad.
okay.
That's good.
She was just planning on
Very
it.
good.
Because
I
like what
feel
got
so
me
much
into
better.
this article, what caught my eye was I was just looking like at random countries of like weird murders. And then I was looking also in Halloween October time. And so her birthday was in October. And then she came up as cannibal. And then I'm like, okay, let's do this
So wait,
one.
did she
Did
eat
she
him?
eat him?
So there was a third meal, which was thrown on the back lawn for unknown reasons, and it is speculated that Knight had attempted to eat it but could not, and this had been put forward in support of her claim that she was no memory of the crime. Price's head was found in a pot with vegetables. The pot was still warm, estimated to be between 40 and 50 degrees Celsius, indicating that the cooking had taken place in the early morning. Sometime later, Knight arranged the body with the left arm draped over an empty 1.25-liter soft drink bottle with the legs crossed. This was claimed in court to be an act of defilement, demonstrating Knight's contempt for Price. Knight had left a handwritten note on top of a photograph of Price. Blood-stained and covered with small pieces of flesh, the note read, "Time got you back, Jonathan, for raping my daughter. You to Beck, Price's daughter, for Ross, for Little John, his son. Now play with Little John's dick, John Price." The accusations in the note were found to be groundless. So,
Holy shit, this lady is out of control.
yeah, she was trying to paint a picture, which obviously did not stop, and she went way overkill with this body, literally with the stabbing, and then also with the skinning and the trying to eat it and the cooking and the
Feeding it.
everything.
Oh my
Ugh.
god.
So,
Yeah.
the only reason why you can sleep tonight is because Knight's initial offer to plead guilty to manslaughter was rejected, and she was arraigned on February 2nd, 2001 on the charge of murdering Price, to which she entered a plea of not guilty. On November 8th, Justice O'Keefe pointed out that the nature of the crime and Knight's lack of remorse required a severe penalty. He sentenced her to life imprisonment, refused to fix a non-parole period, and ordered that her papers be marked never to be released. The first time this had ever been imposed to a woman in Australian history. And that's my fucking story.
Holy shit. That is friggin' intense.
It's crazy,
Yeah.
but a good one, right? Like,
That's a
Yeah.
good one.
Whew.
well, I'm never gonna
Wow.
date anyone that's ever worked in a slaughterhouse.
Hell no.
That's a
God.
definite no-no.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, fuck that.
Risky.
That's like, red flag right there, sorry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
God.
know your way
Comfortable
around a
killing
butcher
things.
knife? No
Yeah.
thanks.
And if you have a history of violence, I would just stay away from that person. Just saying. I don't want to be hit in the
Good
head with a
advice.
frying pan.
Good advice. No.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
crazy.
that's my fucked up story this week. Angela, let's
Wow.
hopefully have a card that shows us that there's happiness in the future or something.
Give us hope.
And may I have a normal death, please, and not be eaten afterwards.
Like, I'd rather not be stabbed 37 times and skinned and eaten. That, that's all I'm asking for.
It's not
Just
money.
kidding. That and
That's
much
all.
more, because there's so many terrible things that people could do to you. So,
Yeah, that's just like, let me die in a normal way and just be incinerated and
that's all good.
that'd be done.
So, for those of you who do not listen to us on a regular basis, shame on you. But every episode, I pull a card, either an oracle card for the main episodes or a tarot card for the minis. Since it's the main, I'm going to pull an oracle card. Let me just shuffle my deck. And yeah, take this as you will. Maybe as, ooh, one just kind of dropped. So I'm going to go with that one.
That's the one.
It's the one.
Jumped out.
It says, be bold and make the first move. Let me just try to put this all up in my camera's face to see if it'll... No, it doesn't want to do that. All right, there it is. Oh, no, it just focused on my face again. But be bold and make the first move, and it's a cardinal moon. So let's see what that is. I have this little book that gives me all the definitions, and it gives me a whole little thing, and I'm talking so that way it's not some big-ass pause as I'm looking for this.
She likes to narrate every section of her life.
She looked
words
aggressively. So, be bold and make the first move. Cardinal moon. Now is the time to be bold, bossy even. Take matters into your own hands. Cardinal signs are powerful and self-starting. They're determined and great at organizing. Drawing this card strongly suggests that you're going to need to be all of those things to get your ideal resolution or position in the situation you're asking about. This card may challenge you on how strongly you really want something. If you're worrying about a situation, it is a suggestion to be less passive. Instead, take an assertive stance as you steer events where you want them to go. Speak up for what you want. If you're serious about sorting things out, you may need to take the lead in some way to step up as a leader. So the Attune to the Moon says, I am taking charge of my destiny. And additional meanings for this card, it says, be bold and follow your heart and your emotions. Avoid recklessness or moving too fast. Come into your power. The time for action is now. Ask Ganesha, the Hindu elephant god, for help. I think we got this card one time in the past. Possibly.
Coming up again.
Coming up again.
Be bold, ladies.
Be bold and make the first
Assert your
move.
dominance, but don't beat people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Find the balance.
On that note, friends, we'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Thanks for listening.